Welcome to the party, we got the takes, no chase. Straight Shooter Podcast, winning the race.
Woo-wee. Welcome, everybody. Tonight we got an action-packed show. It's going to be a great time. We have a special guest this evening, Maine Prince. He is a professional sports agent, NFL sports agent. He also is a specialist, and he understands the everything in the ins and outs of NILs. So we're going to be talking to him in a minute. But let me introduce the regulars. We got the Flying Hawaiian to my right, Carrie Iona. We got the Professor, Carl Bond. We got right below the Flying Hawaiian, we got Lumpy Williams. And we also have Ben. I'm from Mississippi, Diesel. So that's where we got. We got everybody, San Fran. Well, you know, that's okay. So I'm actually going to turn this over to Lumpy. Maybe you could tell us, you and Maine are good friends, and you could tell us a little about his background and what do you got going on.
Absolutely. So, guys, like I said, I've known Maine for about 15 years or so, and what a good person, a good father, but what a great background he has. So he's a sports agent, like you said, for the NFL, the CFL, and does marketing and NIL service agents with athletes, both professional and college-age kids. His background, man, he's been all over the place. So Maine played football at Penn State. He's a receiver. Maine, you're a receiver, correct?
Ooh,
Yeah,
sorry, Maine.
Pounds ago.
You didn't hear me boo you, man.
What years did you play at Penn State?
1995.
Oh, you were right after us.
Yeah,
he's a young buck.
He's young.
You play with Kerry Collins.
My knees.
Yeah.
So after
with that.
Kerry's our age.
Yeah,
he's not a baby like Ben Diesel.
Yeah, man. I'll be 50. I'll be 54 next month. Valentine's Day.
I know. I need your.
I don't feel like a baby.
All y'all are babies. All y'all are babies.
I mean, I'll be 35 next month. Sorry.
Yeah. So after college, Maine was he had a bunch of tries with the NFL. Got around a little bit. In fact, he's still friends with Mike Tomlin. From those days in Pittsburgh.
We know it.
He was a teacher for a while. He's been an adjunct professor.
Nice.
He was a part owner of the Arena League. So Maine, it was a minor leagues, correct? It was like a sub.
It was a Arena League, the Indoor Gridiron League. Yeah. For your soul.
Yep. So he's been around and he did a lot of marketing, and just recently he got into the Prince Management Group is his business, it's his company, and they've expanded into being full-fledged agents where they have legal assistants and advisors, financial planners for the players, and just set them up the right way and do things right for these guys. And then recently, in the last year or so, with this NIL project coming out of the NCAA's, of course, everyone's dipping their toe into that water as well. It's the reason I asked Maine to come on the show with us is because we spoke about it last week, and it's kind of like we have an idea of what it is, but who really knows what it is? Except for those who are in the battlefield, and that's my boy Maine. So Maine, if you would explain what an NIL is.
Yeah. Hey, thanks a lot, Lumpy, and the rest of the Straight Shooters cast. I appreciate you guys, Big Ed and Carl, for sure. The number one thing. Can you guys hear me good?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Again, this is called Straight Shooter, so I'm gonna shoot it straight. Okay.
We do.
I'm not gonna give you my legal definition and whatnot, but for the bottom line, what it comes down to is the NIL, which is name, image, likeness. It's about marketing the athletes and letting them to make money on what they look like, what their image looks like. And we say, what does that mean, the image? Like sometimes there might be a silhouette, like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is a silhouette. So that logo, that brand, everybody knows the silhouette of Michael Jordan, right? Same thing with the basketball board for the NBA. That is a silhouette of when he played basketball with the Lakers way back in the day. So that's the likeness of what a guy looks like. So so this originated back in 1995 when the O'Bannon twins, everybody remember Charles and Ed O'Bannon, when they won the NCAA championship with UCLA, then EA Sports got a whole basketball game. This is before Sega became big as Sega is now, and EA Sports and all that kind of stuff, and video games with all the animation and technology. And they just happened to be driving out LA, sitting on Beverly Hills Boulevard, and they were like, wait a minute, is that my image? That's my picture on that bus going by. And they were like, wait, what's EA Sports? And they looked it up, like, man, they selling this game like hotcakes, and they're making all this money on this video game. And then they're like, well, hold on, I ain't never heard nothing about them. And that means if they're making money, that means we're not getting money from that. And then their parents are like, well, yeah, you should call them up. And then I guess after they kept calling them, they kept hanging up on them, and they kept not answering. Like, you know what? All right, I'm gonna fix you. Watch this. And then eventually, it took a little while because that was, I think, 2006. They filed a labor antitrust lawsuit against them, and then when they filed that lawsuit, that's basically, and I mean, for the most part, we have a I don't know if you guys know, but we have a father of AI, but those guys are basically the fathers of NIL. Like, they're the ones that spearheaded. And then, so again, all it means is just marketing endorsements. We've been doing it anyway, especially agents that have been in the game for a while. I've been doing this for 25 years, a generation. We just called it marketing before, and that's what we do with pro athletes. But now with the college guys, now they call it name, image, likeness. It's really just marketing because you're using their face, their image, now with social media, their influence on a brand. And again, this all kind of got expedited because wait, because I heard somebody from California. Who's in California?
Ben is he's from California.
Yeah, I'm from California, but I live in Mississippi now.
Okay. So you're in Mississippi. So basically, so we had the pandemic, right, in 2020, right? So before the pandemic, in 2019, the Supreme Courts in California approved all colleges in California could have players get paid, college student athletes get paid. Just in California.
That's right.
This was in 2019.
Yep. I remember that.
We had 2020 that shut everything down. And so there was some pressure from other colleges. We're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, when the kids go to school, they're not going to want to come to Penn State. They're not going to come to Maryland. They're not going to come to Miami. They're going to want to go to schools in California because they can get paid. So the president at the time, Emirates or something like that, he was like, well, okay, what we can do, we can have an emergency session meeting because we had a student athlete board that met with the NCAA to try to figure all this out. Literally, they've been doing it for like over 10 years. Like, it's not a new thing. But what happened was, soon as the Supreme Courts got involved and approved California, now the NCAA, and they were trying to rush getting it done. And they said, you know what? But see, when California said they approved it, they weren't going to release it or make it available until 2023. And so as all the schools were like, well, what are we going to do about this? All the kids are going to want to go out to California. We're already losing kids. And so the NCAA was like, okay, you know what? We'll approve it. This was like March of 21. They're like, okay, we'll approve it, but we're not going to release it until July 1st of 2021. And so that's how it happened. Didn't happen so fast. And then it literally happened without anybody taking into any protocols. There was no systems in place. They were just like, hey, Ben, I know you're in Mississippi now because you moved to California. Well, now that you're there, you can collect $1,000 a week. Wait, what? Okay, yeah, sure, give it to me, because anybody gonna do that. So now all colleges, and so kids weren't just gonna go to California; they could go anywhere. And so that seemed great when they were, they made the pre-announcement. I think it was like in April, or May. It was right after Easter, before Mother's Day, and then when June came, which is Father's Day, and then, fathers do taking their kids on college visits. Now these dads are getting involved. They're like, okay, well, you're going to go here. You need to ask them if you can get this amount of money. And so now you got parents, whether they have jobs or not, I don't know. This is straight shooters. So parents that are unemployed, like, hey, well, before you go to Penn State, before you go to Miami, before you go to Alabama, tell Nick Saban you need $500,000. What? I can't do that. Yes, you can. You can now. And when you told him, you're like, okay, we'll give you $500,000 a year. It'll be for $2 million but you gotta stay here. Okay, fine. So then now these guys are getting paid. And then you got girls already, because of, again, we all adults here. They got their little sexiness to them. So when girls start putting more stuff out there on the internet, now the girls are getting exponentially paid as athletes. So, and really what companies are looking for when we talk about branding, what branding really is, and especially in marketing, it's based on impressions. So how many impressions, which means how many eyes can I get on my brand? What kind of athletes are going to be suitable for my brand? So as NIL kind of happened, now we're in the back end of the evolution of it, because you see, well, everyone sees now that it literally is like carrying over to everything else. I mean, it's good, but it's also bad, because again, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly about it. But it's just, there's got to be more. And again, I'm not counting nobody's chickens. I'm just saying there's got to be more criteria to it. Like similar to our contracts for NFL players. Like, so when we have NFL player contracts, yes, they sign contracts, they're X amount of money, but in their contracts, there's a clause that says you are the best athlete at your position. This is why we're signing you. So that's why when guys get released, they're like, well, man, how can they release a guy if they just gave him a contract? Well, because he wasn't good, right? So that's what happened. Like the Bull last year, that was drafted in the first round, 25. He was drafted in the first round, came into camp, and then he got the big $2 million signing bonus. He came into camp in July, 80 pounds overweight. They're like, what? Wow. What in the world? We just drafted you, gave you $20 million, and that's how you look now? That ain't how you look when we came to visit you in April. No. You know what?
80 pounds.
So, Maine, a question for you. So with this NIL, what recourse does a university have to keep the student in their school? Because, I mean, you're going to have guys jumping from school to school to school, and then are they student athletes? Because are they getting degrees? Are they getting education? Or are they just going for the money?
Okay, so the caveat to that, again, being straight shooters, so the balance of scales to that question, and also still, and not because you can't renege, once you squeeze the toothpaste out the tube, you can't put it back. So once they let it out, they're like, okay, well, we got to do something about this pandemic. Some of these kids that were already in school, some of the kids are just going to college, and they didn't even get to have a season. They didn't get to have a whole, let's give them an extra year or two of college. It's okay, well, let's give them an extra year, right? So back in the day, I say back in the day, literally mean 2019. In 2019, you had 5 years to play 4 years, right? So you had 5 years to play 4. For the NFL, we allow guys to be draft eligible after 3 years of being out of high school. Okay, so 3 fall football seasons have to have passed before you can then get into the NFL draft, right? So when they said, you know what, we're going to give them extra years of eligibility. Now you got players that have been in school, but now they're getting their bachelor's degrees. Some guys are even getting their associate's degrees and their bachelor's degrees. Then you got some guys getting their associate's degree, their bachelor's degree, and getting their master's degrees. So they're getting education, but that's only for it's not a lot. It's only for a select few that have the parental guidance and
that was going to be my next question. What's the percentage of those guys that are actually doing that?
Yeah. Again, it's a small percentage. Yeah. It's not like NCAA teams have right around approximately 140 guys on a team. Around 80 or so are on scholarship, and then you have guys that pave the way and guys that are walk-ons and stuff, right? So those guys that were, again, if you have parents and you have the knowledge that you want to get more education, you will do that. But then you got some guys that, Lumpy remember these classes from back in the day. Ed might know. They had underwater basket weaving, and they were like, let me take underwater basket weaving. Class. You know what I'm saying?
That was a tough class, though. That was a tough class, though.
So you got
long time to hold your breath.
I was drowned 3 times.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So guys are taking all these elective classes just so they can be full-time, because you have to be 12 credits to be full-time, which is really 4 classes that are 3 credits. So then you have guys normally doing that. So it's more of a I would say a parental character upbringing as opposed to guys just doing it, because again, you got guys that may or may not come from low income housing, may come from low, impoverished homes. And some people, you guys have been in high school, you know how cliques are. Some you got popular cliques, you got, the gritty cliques, you got goth cliques. And some people, they may say, you know what, man, I'm just going to focus on me and I'm going to get everything I can and keep it moving. And that's really how it evolved. And then the inclusion of the transfer portal. And now we're doing this NIL stuff, and guys might not want to stay here. We got to open it just like we do for coaches that may want to leave. Again, these things are great. I'm not saying they should not do it, but to be committed to a university, you really should be committed to university, right? So,
well, that's the question, that I have, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but
you're good.
Look at a team like Indiana, and look at a team like Indiana over the last couple of years. Now, obviously, Signetti's a great coach, but he got the chance to bring his guys over. I mean, honestly, it could be any year. So, what are some of the rules that would prohibit that? Or are there any rules? Are we still in the wild west that they could anybody could transfer and they can build their squad?
Normally, so what it was, again, back in the day when you transferred, you could transfer up to, if you went from Division 2 to Division 1 to Division 3 to Division 2, or you could transfer down, like Division 1A to double A. You could do that, but you couldn't go lateral, right? So now the basic transfer rules are, you have to have an excuse and a need of why you're transferring, which is typically if a coach leaves, right? Now, the term was coach, not head coach. Not assistant. So you see what I'm saying? So if you had an assistant coach that left and now he's going to get a new job, this is coach that recruited you. So this guy been talking to you for the last 2.5 years. And now he got you to the school. And now you're there and he's like, man, what do coaches want to do when they're assistants? They want to be coordinators, or they want to be head coaches. So they try to level up and get other jobs. So now coaches were doing that. And guys were like, well, man, my coach left, so I'm going to leave too. And it's not uncommon for assistant coaches to want to level up. So now you got players just leaving. But in terms of contracts for NIL purposes, again, it was the wild west end, because what really should have happened, and that's why now, again, as I'm a certified licensed agent with the NFL and CFL, but back in the day, 2019 back in the day, agents were not allowed to talk to players until they've exhausted their last college football season, Like if you were talking to them, it was illegal, but you weren't supposed to do that. And back in the day, we used to have things called runners where Lumpy would go talk to some guys and, hey man, talk to these kids that you know from high school or these guys over to college, you know, and tell them that they need to choose Maine Prince. And they're like, oh, okay, well, tell me about him. And then Lumpy said, oh, hey man, this is a good friend of mine. I know his family real well. Can you talk to him? Oh yeah, if it's a friend of yours, yeah, family, that's cool. I could talk to him, but I couldn't go out and actively call him and say, hey, I want to represent you for the upcoming NFL draft. We could not do that before. Now, because there was zero protocol for education, they're using the NFL agents to, again, be certified and learn and understand more about the NIL, especially those that are attorneys. And I'm a non-attorney, but I still learn all the stuff. We're able now to talk to these kids about the NIL and how contracts work. And so that's where that comes into play now. Now you got NFL agents talking to primetime NFL prospects, but only about NIL stuff, even though they're going to be NFL.
Yeah, but still making that, they're making that connection still.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So are they limited to the amount of times that they can transfer? And if not, is that something they'll implement later?
So technically, again, because of the pandemic, I guess we call it a pandemic rule, they gave guys an extra year, right? So remember I said earlier, 5 to play 4. So basically now you have 6 to play 5 years. Now, however, if you get an extra year, you have to get it approved through your compliance at your school or the school you're going to. The compliance has to approve it through the NCAA. So if you guys remember a few years ago in 24, we had a boy that Cam McCormick from Miami, ironically enough, it was a tight end that got 9 years of college eligibility.
Wow.
27, 28 years old around a bunch of these 17-year-old girls. You think what I'm saying? Like, I'm a dad, I got boys, but I couldn't imagine. Now you're telling me you got these old men running around the campus with my kids? Man, come on, man. Stop it.
Let me
ask you this. What's the possibility of it going back to like back in my day? If you transferred laterally, you had to sit out a year.
I get older, they stay the
probability
same
of that
age.
happening. Listen, Carl, and I'm not trying to age you or anything. The probability of that happening is like the gas going back down to under $1. Yeah.
I don't know. Our gas prices are going down.
Hey, look, if they did that would stop these guys from. Hey, I can see guys lining up now for the Super Bowl picture. Yeah, right. Tackle, Alabama, Penn State, Ohio State. Come on. I mean, that's ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous that these guys go to 3 or 4 different schools before they, if they reach the NFL.
It's kind of like there's some,
And some of these guys, again,
it's why even have school in the first place? Just make it a league.
I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is.
It's going that direction.
Just make it a league. Like
league
instead of get drafted out of some league instead of the NCAA.
Well, you got some of these major football programs that bring in enough revenue to support the university. Period.
Yeah. I mean, clearly,
that's so
And going back to what he was saying earlier. So, and again, I'm pretty sure this is definitely public information. I'm assuming, but so I know you guys have seen a lot of teams, colleges jump conferences, right? So again, when I was at Penn State, technically we were independent because it was in the 90s. It was early 90s, and it wasn't 93. Then we got into the Big Ten, right? But the Big Ten meant what? Anybody know what's 5 plus 5? 10.
Damn.
Right? Yeah. And then you add 1, now that's 11. So when we had the Big Ten, they put the logo in the one in the 11. And so oh, okay. So Big Ten plus 1, now Penn State, it's 11. So now we got like 18 teams.
We're in the Big Ten.
Well, that's not 10 teams now.
That's teams on the West Coast.
So Maine, right there. Let me stop you real fast, Maine. The reason why conference changes was, correct me if I'm wrong on this stuff, when a team goes to a bowl, and you read how the bowl pays the team $10 million. That team doesn't keep that $10 million. That $10 million comes back to the league, and the league spreads it to all the teams in the league. So the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, they put 5, 6, 7 teams into bowl games. They think all that money comes back to those teams and diversify it. So now the smaller schools like the Fresno States, the small 1A schools are saying, well, wait a minute, we're playing in a conference that we get 2 teams in, we're spreading $5 million amongst 10 teams. I'd rather play in a league that has $30 million amongst 10 teams. That's why a lot of shuffling started, correct?
Yeah, and so what's allegedly, this is only allegedly, but allegedly, what's going to happen is similar to the NFL conferences, and just like we have the NFC, the AFC, then we have North, Central, South. Well, they're going to do that with college football so that you don't have Oregon having to go all the way from Oregon all the way to Rutgers to play a Big Ten game. And they go all the way back to SEC to California to play another Big Ten game. You know what I'm saying? So that's allegedly supposed to go in the future between especially the near future. I don't know when, but because of the way things are happening. And like last year and the year before, there's been changes even in the CFP playoffs. And even how the playoffs came about, because when we had back then President Obama talked about doing his college basketball bracket. He was like, well, I don't see why football can't do that as well as they've been doing it in Division III and Division II for the last how many years? 60, 70, 80 years? So talked about that. And then people were like, hey, let's get in front of this. Let's just have a daggone college football playoff. We can figure it out. Because before, it used to be about, okay, the bowl games, they want to make money. Why would you not make money having a bowl game? Of course you're going to make money in the bowl game. It doesn't matter about when the games are. It just matters that the teams that play in them are the best teams. So now, and I don't know if you guys already know, but maybe the people don't, but the college football playoff is an organization. It's not part of the NCAA. So the NCAA doesn't control the playoffs. Like they're literally outside of the purview of the NCAA. So there's a whole committee that chooses which teams get in. So like this past year when Notre Dame didn't get in and people thought, oh my God, he's down there crying and now they don't want to even play the bowl. It wasn't even just about that. The guys were like, because what's happened just like last year before when Shadur and Travis and them came out, because Coach Sanders, Deion Sanders, is an old school coach. He said, hey, you started with this team, you're going to finish with this team. So you're going to play in this bowl game. There were not enough players and teams that were doing that. So Notre Dame was like, man, we're going to have 20, 30 of our guys that are probably going to get drafted, and guys that are not going to get drafted just don't want to play the bowl game. So now you don't have, the influence, and that's where coaching comes in. I mean, it's a lot about character and ethics, but character, ethics, those things have to be instilled in an individual player for him to want to stick it out with his team. Like, I want to stick with these are the guys I got blood, sweat, and tears with. This is who guys I want to ride with. But you don't, I know it's 2000 or 2003, 2004. Some of these guys are just now born. And so they're only 20 and 21 years old. They don't understand all that. Man.
Hey, look, man. Back in my day, I couldn't imagine one of our teammates saying, I don't want to play in the bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, that just didn't happen. It just didn't happen.
Big Ed and Carl, you remember hearing about when Ronnie Lott said, oh my God, my finger. Hey man, just cut my fingers off. Let me go back out there.
Cut it off, right.
Let me go back out there and play. Nowadays you got guys that, you remember the old memes of not memes, but pictures of guys on the sideline drinking oxygen. Oh man, I can't believe I read that far. You drinking oxygen. Come on, man.
Hey, Ed, like you were talking about stingers earlier. I can remember guys getting stingers. All right, shake it off.
Yeah, it's probably
back. You don't do that stuff anymore.
What are you talking about, stingers? Ed, what position did you play, Ed?
O-line.
Okay, so even O-line gave guys concussions and snot bubbles and seeing stars. Pop him so he sees stars.
Yeah, we didn't go in a tent. We just.
Hey, that's like
almost like a rite of passage.
That's like old Mick said. Hey, I see 3 of them. Hit the one in the middle.
Right, exactly. so
I,
you know, these guys weren't on that.
Yeah, but along the same lines, you know, back when we played, you say, "Hey, coach, I got hit by whatever my hand. You see the bone? No, you're okay then.
Yeah.
If you can't see the bone, it's fine. Yeah. Tape it up. You'll be fine. Spit on it.
Dirt on it, whatever.
Like if you told a kid you can't see the bone, you're okay. Nowadays, you go to jail.
Yeah, soft. But dude, I have a question though. So you talk about monetary structure, right? Let's talk about structuring this, because you got your high level players that are getting millions of dollars. But what about like the kid that just comes in, you know, earns a scholarship? I mean, is there money for them? Like, does everybody negotiate their own deal? And what kind of pressure does that put on like college coaches, and who handles all that? Because that's a whole different thing now. Now you're running a, you know. So what does that structure look like?
Yeah. So recently, that, you know, obviously we had the retirement of Bill Belichick from the Patriots, from the NFL. He was out for about a year or so. And then eventually he was convinced to come back to college sports, college football, and coach at North Carolina. As again, this evolution of the NIL. Well, as the evolution of the NIL and Bill Belichick coming back, he was like, well, listen, I don't want to deal with that headache. Can I bring somebody else? So Bill Belichick, again, Super Bowl winning head football coach, now was able to bring his people, and the person he bought was Mike Lombardi, who was a Super Bowl general manager from the Patriots. Say, hey, you know what? Let's bring a general manager to help with the NIL, the business side of things. And so the wind of that coming about, now you got hundreds of teams say, hey, wait, what? We can hire a general manager? We need somebody else can handle this? Hold on. Let's see if we can promote somebody within. A matter of fact, let's see if we can get some business kids, whatever. So now teams are bringing in business general managers to run the teams. And that was for about a year. And then eventually they were like, you know, the government was like, hey, you know what? I don't know what's going on with you guys, but there's no way you're going to be able to spend $100 million for this daggone football team. You're playing these guys that haven't even made $10 million in the last 10 years, and you're going to kill those guys. We're going to put a cap on this. So when they put a cap, they said, you know what? Now, how do we evaluate these players? And that's called fair market value. That's what that's for. So fair market value, same thing, ironically enough, what we did for NFL players for their marketing deals, and that was based on playing time, right? So if a guy played, 100% of the time, well, that means he's on TV a lot. People are looking at him. So this is going to cost this much. And now we have this influx between the individual brand, the market size, the social reach, the engagement, what position does he play, how much playing time is he going to get. And we look at that, and it's all an estimate. And that estimate is, again, what they're going to ask for. And if you really want to win, and you have a little bit of money, you're going to get that guy. Because colleges, they are literally making billions of dollars. I can't count anybody's chicken, but we're just the straight shooters. But they're making billions of dollars every week. Like they're not just making money just when there's a football game. They're making tons of money with everything that school brings to the table. But again, it's not everybody. It's only a few schools. So
man, let me ask you this. I mean, especially for a guy like me, I got a scholarship, but I didn't play much. I was a backup. So what happened? No, seriously. So what happens to a guy like me? You're good enough to get a scholarship, but you can't crack the lineup.
Listen, I can't talk about I can't tell you about everybody. Okay. Right. I know my people at Penn State, and when I've had conversations with my guy that's still up there, that was able to be, interim head coach this year, what conversations we had back in 23, the backups to the backup. Ed, the personal protector was making $200,000. The backup personal protector on the punt team.
I can do that now.
Was making 200. So and you guys, you know football, you know how special teams work. You know what I'm saying? You only get out there if you're needed, but if you're the backup to the backup, you may not even see the field. But the reason that collectives and brands, when they pay that money for those individual players, they're paying for the eyes. Remember I told you earlier about impressions. They're paying for impressions of once you say anything about that player that's on our brand, those you got the alumni besides the world, then you got the alumni, then you got the brands loyalty. All those people are now tuning in and they want to see what that player's doing.
So Maine,
not doing anything, does he have to give that money back?
Okay, and now again, that goes back to having proper legal representation, because contracts are where the problems are. And again, we don't have enough time to do all of everything, but you can Google, people can Google NIL lawsuits, SUITS, and you'll see from 23, 24, and 25, brands were suing players for not posting. Right? Because, again, these guys are football players. They get tired. You need time to rest. So they may not post 3 times a day. They may not post 5 times a week. They may not post 1 time a week. And when they don't do that, someone's keeping track of that. They're like, hey, man, listen, you got to up your post or there's going to be some problems. And then eventually what you'll see from Googling those lawsuits is based on breach of contract. Because they're kids. They're still kids.
That's Duke. Duke is suing one of their players right now for that, right?
Yeah.
Their quarterback.
That's his situation is a wee bit different. And Darian Mensah. So, and that's, I mean, I don't think he's going to go anywhere, but it is what it is. Basically, the snapshot is he wants to get in the portal. And Miami wants him because when Carson Beck was at Georgia, even though he got injured, they still gave him $10 million. I think on record it's like $4 or $5 million, whatever. But they gave him a bunch of money to come to Miami, and then he was there. But now he's leaving, and so the money that they want to, again, allegedly, I got to put that in my quote. Allegedly, they want to give him X amount of dollars, millions of dollars to come to Miami. And again, now we're talking about how we do NFL players when players go from one team to the next team and they're under contract. Man, well, we owe this guy $100 more million. Well, if you take him, we'll give him 20, but you got to pay the other 80. All right, that's cool. We want to win. So with Darian Mensah, Miami is interested in doing, you know what? How much do you owe? You got to pay $4 million. We'll pay the 4. We'll give you 6. That'll be $10 million. And they're going to give another $5 million to his sister to play at Oregon soccer and give her a full ride scholarship. So now you're doing something totally outside of purview. But again, it's got to be approved. And I'm just saying, allegedly, that's what's supposed to be happening. But the court recently said, "Hey, listen, man, I know you want to go. We'll let you into the portal, but if Miami picks him up, you can't go there until we get this settled." What? Doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? You talking about you're gonna give me a Bugatti, but you're not gonna give me rims to go on it? I don't have no tires. How will you drive it? That doesn't make any sense.
I've seen the rims on your car before. See, correct me if I'm wrong. So my understanding of the NIL was so that a college kid could make money. So when we were in school, if local sporting goods store said, "Hey, come over and sign some helmets for me," you can't do that because you can't sell your name. Even though it's your name, you can't sell it. And it's kind of funny when the quarterback at USC, number 13, they go to a bookstore, they sell number 13 jerseys. No name on the back, but it's 13. But the next year, the quarterback's number 10, they don't sell 13 anymore, they sell number 10. And it's like, well, wait a minute, that's my, you sell the number, that's my jersey. It's obvious it's my jersey because I'm the quarterback this year. So I understand where it started from. Those kids should get something for the school selling things that are theirs, their number, their jersey kind of thing. I get that. Correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of this big, you talk about eyes. How many views can you get? Haley and Hannah Cavender. They were basketball players at Fresno State. So I know you I know what I'm talking about. Beautiful girls, tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. They had over 1 million followers on Instagram, and they can't monetize their Instagram because they're athletes in college. They're amateurs. They transferred to Miami because it's a better setting. It gets more eyes on them. So when they graduated, they monetized their Instagram for millions of dollars. And the same thing with who's the young girl who was the gymnast at LSU, whose boyfriend is Dune. Same thing. Like she couldn't monetize her Instagram because she was an amateur athlete. So like my understanding was this was to allow those kids to do that because it's their personal social media. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Don't you think it's kind of going out of control a little bit?
I mean, again, it's like Ed was saying earlier, it literally is the wild, wild west because, again, like I said, how this all started about was California approving to players to be paid only if you came to college in California. Then the NCAA rushed to get it done in 2021, just after the pandemic, having several different meetings. But no one was thinking about, well, what protocols are we going to put in place to, hey, what if they do this? Or what if we do that? And what about this theory? What about that theory? So when you don't do those things, that's how you get protocol. That's how you get systems. But then there's nothing really protecting the players. So, and again, just so you know, I know Lumpy's not that big, but the height of the Cameron twins are 5'6". They're not really that tall. They're little bitty. They're about 5'6", so they ain't that big. Angel Reese is a big girl. She's 6'4". That's a big girl. But that's also coming from LSU. So those LSU girls. But in terms of what's happening,
he started in Maryland.
Yes, yep. Started in Maryland, then went to LSU. Let's see that Maryland connection. But when they were having this in place, there was nothing that would protect the players from doing anything, and they could just come up with everything. But again, when the brands, some of the brands, they have their legal departments, but their legal was protecting the brand, not protecting what they're going to do if they breach a contract. Like I said earlier, if they say, especially with those girls, you have to post 5 times a day, okay? Morning, noon, and night, and then 2 times in between that. Well, if you don't do that, then what happens? And now you have breaches of contract, and then, of course, they have to look at how much money they've lost, and they look at all that stuff. And that's where educating parents and educating players comes into play, of having an actual NIL agent that looks at contracts all the time.
So how can a kid like Mensa from Duke, he has a 2-year NIL deal with Duke, right? Are scholarships still 1-year scholarships?
Oh yeah, so they've been that way for a while. So basically, what's happened? So back in the day, in the 90s, we called it a full ride. That was your whole 5 years, right? So your whole 4 or 5 years, that was a full ride. Now a full ride just means 12 months. So 12 months, and then what happens is in the spring, after the spring game, depending on how well you did. Now it's the same thing. Like I told you earlier about the NFL contracts. You got to be the best to be on that NFL team. Now, at the end of the spring, if you're not one of the top players, of the top 120, 30 guys on that squad, well, man, we're going to look at bringing somebody else in. And you don't know if we're going to bring somebody else in until after school is out, which is after Mother's Day, the second week of May. So after Mother's Day, you're out of school, but then the school is looking for players. And by the end of May, you just find out, man, they just replaced me. Now I got to find another school. And that's the other thing about the transfer portal. A lot of people don't know, especially the high school kids and parents. Soon as a player says, I want to get into the portal, they automatically lose their scholarship. So they're no longer a student at the current school. So if they don't get picked up out of the portal And like I don't know if you saw recently, some kids are trying to go back to school. If they don't get picked up out of the portal and they want to go back to school, well, now they got to pay their way. So you got to pay whatever the school tuition is. And now, but the kids don't get that. They don't know that. They just say, hey, can you put my name in the portal? Wait, what? Are you sure? Yes, I want to. Okay, are you sure? Sure. Yes. Not telling them why are you sure. Just keep asking, are you sure? Because when you go into the portal, it says, are you sure you want this encouragement? And they were like, well, yes. And you click yes. And then, but that's it. Just like your cell phones, there's fine lines, and the words are real small, especially on TV. When you see TV car commercials, the real tiny print on there. Hey, I know we said it's only be $3.99 for this Mercedes Maybach, but that's if you have a 900 credit score and you put down $28,000. That's what you can pay. So, but it's real small. But there's no real small print.
So Maine. So that kid that wants to get that the portal also has early dates, right?
Yeah. Well, for now, yeah. For
now. So if that kid goes in the portal early, but he still has that semester, he's no longer on scholarship?
He's not on scholarship. When you go into the portal.
As soon as you go into the portal, you lose it.
I don't know if any of you guys are married or anything, but if you were married and your wife says, hey, I'm going to give you a pass, and you can do anything you want when you go with your boys this weekend. He's like, for real? You be like, and she hands it to you, and you
don't
take
do
it. As soon as you take it, it's a wrap.
Better not do it.
It's a wrap. So
do these kids know this before they enter the portal?
First of all, just like you said, these are kids, right? How many times if you've ever had a high school kid and you say, hey, did you bring that stuff home that you're supposed to bring home that the teacher said she gave you? Oh, it's in my backpack. Wait, it's not in my backpack. It's in my locker. I left it in my. So I have to turn it in tomorrow, but you didn't bring it. They don't think about the processes of doing things. So kids aren't thinking about, well, I should probably read the fine print, huh, Mom? No, I just got $20,000 a month. So let me just go ahead. Let me just see what this look like. I got $20,000 a month. I'm getting $240, or I'm getting $200,000 a quarter. I already know how much I'm getting. So yeah, let me just go and do this and see if I can up it. No, it's not how that works.
Yeah, you're basically starting over again once you transfer.
You're starting over. The gamble is tremendous, but then again, you still have. For the NFL, we still have player personnel and general manager, or besides Andrew Berry and a boy from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Osami, it's up in Minnesota, that are young, under 40, that are general managers in the league, but most of the general managers are older, in their 60s or so, and so they remember old school ways of 60s. Yeah, so you remember old school ways of. These are the type of players that I want, guys that are committed to their team, guys that are committed to their teammates. That's a good teammate. But these kids ain't thinking about that. They thinking about how much money can I get. However much money they can get is not always the end all be all, because what happened in 22, like, is you all as adults, everybody got jobs and stuff, and in January you get that day from your employer, your taxes say, hey, this is your tax form that you got to turn in. You got to. So when kids were getting that in January and February of 22, they're like, wait a minute, what's this $80,000 tax bill I got to pay? I ain't got no $80,000. Where's the money you just? Man, I spent all that money. Hold on. You're telling me you spent. So when a kid got $100,000, he said, you know what? I'm going to give $20,000 to my mom. I'm going to give $20,000 to my dad. I'm going to spend a little $20,000 for me. You know what? Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and buy this car. That was $20,000. Man, me and my girl, we finna hang out and kick it. I done spent $10,000. Hold on, I only got like $10,000 left. Man, I'm gonna try to save this little money. Oh man, I done bought this. What them daggone? I done bought these Balenciaga shoes. They was $2,500. I done bought this chain that was $5,500. Now you out of money, and so you're giving out money and they're not knowing. Oh man, I gotta pay taxes on that. But they're not telling these kids that.
Well, if they gift it or donate it, they can gift it or donate it. And I think they can write that off, right?
It's only a
but
certain
still,
percentage. It's a percentage. It's not 100%. I get gifted $20,000 and not pay taxes on it.
That gifting, the tax of it is that I believe a parent can gift money to their child.
Yeah,
it's like 11 a year, so it's not income. But I don't think it works from a kid to a parent. But I'm not an accountant, but but still, you're giving again children a lot of money. So, my question is this: so when we were in school, in order to be eligible as a sophomore, you had to have 24 credit hours earned. In order to play as a junior, you had to have 48 credit hours earned. So how do these guys have that now if they transfer? There's guys who transfer it every year. You can't tell me that these kids who are athletes and have the time restraints that athletes have in college earned enough credit hours, and those hours are transferred to another school. Yeah, they're still eligible. I know when I transferred schools, I lost 20 hours. I lost 20 credit hours. So when I transferred, I would not have been eligible when I transferred.
Right.
You can't tell me who these kids are. How are they working around that?
So again, we're talking about post-pandemic. I know the pandemic, it was bad as it was for sure worldwide. It wasn't wasn't like it was back in the 30s and whatnot. But what's happening post-pandemic, the NCAA has been so lax in allowing things to happen. They're approving them to happen so that kids can still, be able to transfer and get their education. Now, again, the NCAA is thinking about education, but the kids are using that loophole to not give a damn. The kids are, so like you're saying, so if you're a sophomore, and that's the other thing about compliance, literally that's their job. Compliance as an adult, you should say, hey, you know what? If you transfer this bi-side class, it's not comparable to this biology class at Maryland. Maryland is a high standard school to go to. But if you take this class from this school, it's not going to be equivalent to that. So you're going to lose that. And then, of course, like you said, it just kept going and going. Well, where can I go? Well, let's look at other schools and let's look at their curriculum and let's see what classes are going to transfer. That's what compliance is supposed to be doing. So now they're working overdrive. And again, now we have general managers, and the general manager I say, hey, you know what? Let's look at this and look at in terms of which players are in the portal and what's going to be their credit hours. Oh, don't worry, this kid's already got his degree. So if a kid has 115, 120 credits needed to get certain degrees, some you need a little bit more, but when you get in certain degrees, well, now you already got your bachelor's degree, and now your master's degree is theoretically optional. So, but you still have to be registered, and that's it's only one class. Hey, you take this one class, but you got to do all this XYZ PDQ. So, it's unfortunate. What can we do? How can we fix it? Like you said, Carl, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Aladdin's already out.
I wonder how many universities are out there that offer counselors or financial advisors to speak to the student athletes who receive NIL money, or something like that, or make them take a course in accounting or something. I wonder if they do anything like that. And I'm pretty sure there's one school out, at least a handful of schools out there that do that or offer it.
Listen, I don't know if you drive a 2025 or 2026 car, but if you drive a 2025 or 26 car and the car dealership knows how to fix your car, but it's going to cost a lot more money as if you went to Mako or Midas. If you go there, it's going to be a lot cheaper. Just because it's offered, that, hey, this is where you can go. Man, you know what? I'm going to go talk to somebody else. Let me see if I
got a quick question, though. When you're talking about, now these kids are making a lot of money. right? Quarterbacks, wide receivers, whoever, and they're making millions of dollars. Do you see that this is having an impact as of yet on kids going into the NFL?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because again, okay, I'm gonna break down like I do for clients and stuff too. This is how I talk to prospects, okay, draft prospects about how the breakdown is, okay. In the off season from the NFL, not the NCAA, the off season, teams are allowed to sign 90 players, okay, 90, okay, 90 players. Now those 90 players, 53 are already signed to play from the previous season. So now we're down to 37. Of those 37, 16 were on the practice squad. So now that 37 taking that 16, there's 21. Each year, the NFL draft is bringing in 7 to 10 guys for each team. So let's say 10 players. Well, so now there's 11 spots available. So now those free agents that can get signed for the next first week, but then there's a rookie mini camp that 50 guys are going to get invited to come to rookie mini camp. 50.
Wow.
There's only 11 spots. So when you see back in the day that probability of playing in the NFL is less than 1%, that's the reason why. And then essentially, so now you got all 50 guys saying, man, I'm good. I know I'm good. You're talking about every year there's a little over 12,000 draft eligible people. But there's only 257 picks. We have the NFL Combine. 500 invitations go out, 300 accept, and only approximately 250 guys participate at the Combine. But everybody goes because they want to do the interviews and stuff. But 30, 40 guys aren't going to compete. They're going to wait until they go to their pro day. And so now you got players, man, they're not going to make it. So what happens?
Wow.
What you know, and you as a parent of a kid that's making $1 million or so, man, go on, stay in the school, man. You can stay in school for 3-4 more years. Go, hey, the NFL minimum salary is $855,000. $855,000. And last year, again, it's already documented. I know I sent you that link earlier. Our boy at Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith, 19 years old, making 4.2 last year, making 4.5 this year. That's per year. You dig what I'm saying? So what's happening to those guys that don't make it in the NFL? Man, bro, you know, I don't know if anybody's ever been divorced, but sometimes you can see the writing on the wall. Man, she's not coming home on time. Like, where's she been? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the writing on the wall. So you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go ahead on and stay in school. So Cam McCormick stayed in school 9 years. Man, you probably not gonna make it leave, man. You chop that up.
Yeah, I heard a rerun. That's a little ridiculous.
Yeah. Her lawyer didn't like me. I read the whole thing. I sat there and read the whole thing. He's like, he goes, I'm not gonna twist your arm or do you wrong. Or I was like, you know, he goes, I would have signed it if he just didn't say that. Let me read this. I read the whole thing. And I found a few things that way.
Absolutely. But see, that's what I'm saying. So again, if you don't have people that have supported you in your life to give you that mindset and thought and upbringing, even if you've never had to think about it before, but you know in the back of your, hold on, man, somehow I remember, hold on, wait a minute, there's something about Michael Jackson's curl ain't all the way curling just quite right. This curl ain't going all the way around. Let me check something out here. You see what I'm saying? Right. And so that's what's happening with players. They're staying in school. Again, hopefully they get their degree. I say hopefully. Again, I've been doing this 20-some years. I still, and this is pre-pandemic too, but I still got calls from guys 27, 35 years old. Man, I know I still got it, man. I think Lumpy actually told me one day. He said, "Man, can you give me a workout with the Eagles, man? Just get me on the team with the Eagles." I could have
bring me in.
That was a month ago, wasn't it?
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, but again, it'd be like that. And then the first thing, because my mom now retired vice president of a university and whatnot, but she's also president of the NAACP. And so we're all about education. And so one of the first things I ask those type of guys is, well, where are you working at? Oh, man, I ain't really working right now. Like, I'm just working out. Like, I'm, okay, what's your degree in? Oh, man, I need like 12 more credits to get my degree. Now, again, we're talking about 25 to 28-year-old guys that are now been out of college for 7 years trying to get to the league. So nowadays, just like, obviously we just had the national championship game on Monday. I mean, everybody talks about the age of one team versus the other. Like, man, these guys used to be to tell me he came in the same class as C.J. Stroud that played 3 years for the Texans now? Are you kidding me? So Jalen Hurts came in the same class. He's been 3 years with the Eagles, got a Super Bowl win, and he's still in college? Mm-hmm. I mean, what you gonna do? It's like, again, I hate to say 6'7", it's half one does the other.
Oh my God, you didn't.
Did you go there? 6'7", 6'7".
8, 9, 10.
That just happened.
Oh, wow.
So, Maine, what do you think the future is going to be? What's the future look like for NIL and the transfer portal, in your opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion, I mean, so a few years ago, actually this past winter, I guess September 25, I spoke at the Congressional Black Caucus congressional meetings in DC, and talking with a bunch of the congressmen and congresswomen. There's a bunch of different bills in place regarding name, image, likeness. They have bills in place. They just have to get voted on. They have to get approved and all that kind of stuff. We lost Ed. They have to get approved and whatnot. And then eventually that's going to turn into protocols like nationwide, right? But it's got to go through, everybody remembers the government. There's judicial, executive, and legislative. So they have to go through the phases of the government, and then eventually things will get changed, right? And so that's what I think is going to happen. Like the same thing with the Boa Mensa. I don't think he's going anywhere. I mean, based on what I've seen, he's not going anywhere unless it's a super best case scenario that Miami says, hey, instead of giving them the 4, we're going to give them $8 million, because basically the collectives at Duke, they want their money's worth, and they know if he goes to Miami, his value is going to skyrocket. So the license that they have on him in a Duke jersey is not the same as it's going to be in a Miami jersey. So that, you know what? No, we don't want just the 4. We want the 8. And so eventually the government, again, is going to get involved. If there are buyouts that are offered, they're going to be a certain amount more, right? They're going to be a certain amount. That's what I think is going to happen. And then the transfer portal is essentially supposed to be just once a year now, which is probably just going to be in the winter in December. If you don't get picked up by December 31st, then you don't go nowhere. That's it. We're not doing all this extra stuff. That's what eventually is going to happen. But then again, it's going to be legal is going to get involved, like our attorneys here, but legal is going to get involved. And they're going to have to put a lot more. We don't have any. The collective bargaining agreement for the NFL is every 10 years. There's 0 bylaws in place for college football, like 0. So I think someone asked earlier, sent me something about if there's going to be a players' union. I mean, for the most part, we already have a union, but it's not this NIL type of players' union. It's just the student athletes union, right? So just as a student athlete, there's a union for that. But so now we got to come up with a whole nother union. And so that's where the discrepancies are. And I think that'll eventually get worked out. My kids, Justin is 16 and Maine Jr. is 13. I don't think it's gonna come up in the next 5 years. It's gonna be a while. Unfortunately,
I remember they were toddlers.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Little bitty joints.
Good at
now,
yeah.
big joints.
So you think? All right, because the NIL's capped.
Yeah.
Do you think these?
million.
Do you think it'll raise like the NFL salary cap does every year?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because again, we only got the cap because Congress said, "Hey, you guys can't do this, man. Like, stop it. Like, there's no way. Like, Penn State, you beating up on Susquehanna University, and that's not good. Okay, so the same thing. But again, HBCUs, like I got a kid, Michael Vick's kid from Tariq Miles from Norfolk State. Norfolk State don't make $20 million. Like, no, they don't make that much. So why are you giving us a cap of $20 million when we don't even make $10 million? How does that make any sense?
So Maine, is that $20 million for the football team or for the whole athletic program?
That's for the program. Mm-hmm. That's for the program. And then we have Title IX. So now what do you do about the girls' team? Because before you weren't paying players, but man, before you had Title IX, like, you know what, football, like I said, has 140 players, and soccer only has like 30 players that they have in soccer, even though 11 play on the field. You only got 30 players. Well, so we got to figure that out. And so now Title IX's got to get involved. How are we going to make this equal and fair for the women as much as we're trying to do for the men and for all the athletes? And that's what I meant by when they approved this in March of 2021, they just say, hey, man, we can't have everybody just going to UCLA and USC. We got to, let's just approve it.
Oh, no, we stop again.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Title IX was the demise of a lot of schools, lesser sports. Like a lot of sports back in the day, when Title IX was in the 90s, I believe.
Yeah,
it was in the 90s. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So a lot of schools that dropping wrestling, or women's swimming, or men's golf, like some of the smaller sports, in order to have equal. So Title IX is have as many scholarships for men as for women. So a lot of schools would get rid of the men's sports to make them even. So do you think the NIL is going to do the same thing? It's going to make some of the schools say, okay, well, we can't afford, if we're paying our men's basketball and women's basketball and football this much money, we can't afford a golf team or a water polo team. Do you see that happening also?
So again, originally, Title IX, 72. So Title IX came out in 72. Okay, so it's been a while, right? When that came out. However, with the influx of now more women doing different sports, they're trying to make it somewhat equal. And as regarding the NIL situation and the cap of money to be spent, what's going to happen, it's almost like what we do technically for the NFL is that we have what's called all revenue. How we get to a fair market value is based on what's called all revenue. That's how we negotiate contracts. It's based on our all revenue of the whole league. And then they split all that up. Then we have media shares, which is why with this next CBA, I'm not sure if you guys saw a lot about, so last year, I think some of you guys in Philly remember Saquon Barkley and all the other running backs had these meetings. They're like, yo, we are getting duped, man. Like, we getting beat up out there and we only get X amount of dollars. Well, they can't do anything about it until the next CBA, which is in 2030. So what's going to happen is there's going to have to be some type of, I don't want to call it a CBA or bylaw, but it's going to have to be something that is put in place to make the money spread out either by conference, because it's going to be very, very difficult because they can't even do it from HBCUs to regular PWIs right now. So there's going to have to be something that they string it out and say, hey, you know what? All these schools in this conference, we're gonna make X amount of dollars on all the media rights. And for us, for the NFL, all of our media is, I'm not sure what you guys have seen or know now, but the public and whatever's watching. So before, you used to be able to watch TV or you get pay-per-view. And your pay-per-view, you watch the fight, now they got NFL Zone, all that stuff. Well, now the all media is including apps. So I don't know if any of you guys remember back in the day when Roger Goodell tried to get Twitter to have a football game live on Twitter. Like, wait, live on Twitter? Like, doesn't make any sense. So now they got these all media is now including apps. So whenever there's anything with players on it, anything with the teams on it, all the teams are getting money from that. So like right now last year we were at 249, 225. I think we're at 249 or so as far as the cap this year coming up on the team salary. Well, it's going to exponentially go up in 2030. It's going to be over 300,000, 300 million when we get to the new CBA. That's what they're going to need to do for college. They're going to need to get a CBA style in place so that you don't have the Penn States playing Central States of Ohio and say, oh, okay, you guys are playing Central State of Ohio. Man, those guys, they haven't made $1 million in like the last 5 years.
That's where Hugh Douglas played.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
See,
well, I got a question.
I remember. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I remember years ago there was a thing where they said that only 5 college teams paid for themselves. Like it was like Nebraska, Penn State, LSU, and those 5 schools actually paid for their own program as well as paid for most of the athletic department. When you figure the costs of scholarships, travel, people think, a team travels with 100 people. No, the team travels with 200 people because there's trainers and managers and the band and support staff and media personnel, and that all costs money. But now, there's so much money involved now with the TV contracts. You see the SEC signing $1 billion TV contract and Big Ten $1 billion TV contract. Like, how's that money going to funnel down to these other schools to keep the playing field level?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's where the protocols are going to have to come into place, and a CBA and the negotiation between the conferences that are still conferences as of now. And again, that's going to help push to make things regionally, because one of the biggest costs is the travel for 150 some guys and staff. You're talking about almost 300 people have to be with the team to go from game to game. And if they're going all the way across country, besides the time zone, the cost to do all that, because whenever you go somewhere, it really is only a night before. However, equipment and all that stuff, that sometimes gets shipped out on Wednesdays and Thursdays, except for the players' pads and all that stuff. But that gets shipped on a whole other, it's a cargo plane that takes that stuff. So everything costs money. And everything that costs money is going to get tied into whenever they come up with a fair market value for what each team brings into play. And so back in the day, you used to have smaller schools that came and played, like a Penn State. They would play bigger schools and say, hey, we're going to get how much? We're going to get $1 million to come to Happy Valley to play.
Yeah.
And get honored. I mean, man, we need the money for the program. Like, we got to get you new uniforms. So they'll eventually figure something out. Again, I don't think it's going to be within the next 5 years until something bad happens. That's the sad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's why you saw the expansion of these conferences. You look at the Big Ten, especially when Rutgers and Maryland joined, they wanted to expand that footprint for TV revenue. And that's the same reason why they brought in the teams from the West Coast. And now you have that footprint almost across the country, TV markets. And that's where they're bringing in all the money. And what you're going to see super conferences. You might see the ACC and the Big Ten merge or something like that. But that's what you're going to see. You're going to see these huge mega conferences to share that TV revenue money.
Yeah. So that's like Notre Dame. That's why they're independent. They got that TV. Was it NBC?
NBC.
Yeah.
They don't have to share that with anybody. That goes straight to them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like 75
That's why they didn't go to a bowl game, though.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a whole nother story. But that would look like your job.
One question I had is, how do they pay for the horses in water polo?
What a comedian, Ed. What a comedian.
That's a good question, Ed.
I know. I was waiting all night to ask that question.
Oh, what a dad joke.
Listen, somebody else who's paying attention out there. We gotta break it up a little bit.
Mr. Ed.
No, but
the closest.
huh?
I was saying, who's
What's
the
that?
closest to you with a basket of tomatoes?
Yeah, I
Me.
know, right?
Yeah.
All right,
Me, I'm on the way.
yeah,
Pay,
I'd like to
gotta
see
pay the-
that.
you gotta pay the
Yeah.
super tax.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Pay up, man.
Hey, Ed, I have a
Yeah.
question for you, Ed.
What?
Since
The corny
our whole show's been about money so far.
Yeah.
Who would you call for a mortgage?
Oh, I would call Frank McCartney at Nationwide Mortgage today, 856-495-5150. And also, if you're making a lot of money and after you're looking for a home, you can always give me a call at bigedsellshomes.com. There you go. But Frank McCartney at Nationwide Mortgage.
Where you sell homes at, Ed? What state are you in?
Also, South Jersey. Let's go. Let's bring it.
Okay, so you're in New Jersey. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
Hey,
do
so-
it.
He's close to me.
Okay.
Yeah, real close. Close to Philly. Yep. Do the Maine. Yeah. So there's so much information we had here tonight. I really do appreciate you coming on with us, Maine. I really do. I thought you were awesome. There's so much out there when it comes to this information because the NILs are really tough for people to follow. I mean, I don't think everybody really gets an understanding of what it all entails. It is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, so
Absolutely.
trying to sharing with us that tonight was it was great. I know
Yeah, we've
you
been
brought
wanting to do this kind of show for a while now too. We've been talking about doing an NIL show for practically the whole season.
Yeah. I have a
couple
couple parents that one of my friends, his two daughters play Division I. We'll get them on, talk to them, and to hear that perspective, because it's definitely interesting to see it from that perspective of what does that look like. I mean, it's a whole new world. I mean, coaches must be exhausted. I'm thinking about like coaches in recruiting, and they must be exhausted with these NILs. My God.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was saying. Like, a lot of teams, not all teams, have general managers now. Like in the NFL, for the personnel department, we have the general manager and assistant general manager. Then we have the player personnel department is broken up into college personnel and pro personnel, because the pro personnel looks at 31 other teams, because I'm not sure what people know, but if you're on the practice squad of any 32 teams, anybody can pick you off anybody else's practice squad.
Yeah.
That's the pro personnel, but college personnel, they look at all the colleges. So now you have the same thing in college for the NCAA colleges. Now you got the general manager saying, you know what? I need to look at all the players on all the teams of kids that may want to transfer. And now I got to look at player personnel for high school. So in I saw someone a couple of days ago, they were talking about, well, what would be the point in recruiting an 18-year-old kid if you could just recruit a 22-year-old kid out of the portal?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So now it's just half one dozen the other. Like this is good and not good at the same time.
Yeah. How do they get paid? Do they get paid every 2 weeks, or the college kids? Like, how does that check show up?
So typically, and again, that's also a negotiated thing. Some guys like to get paid weekly. Some players, I know a couple of players that get $250 a quarter every 3 months. They get $250,000. So they get $250,000 every 3 months, and so they get paid that way. Some guys get paid once a month. They have to submit an actual invoice and everything, and they get paid that way. I know schools like at Penn State, my boy Matt up in Nebraska, my other boy PJ Fleck in Minnesota. What's great about their programs, not to toot everybody to go there, but they actually cover the taxes for their players collective with their NIL deals. So the school pays that. So that extra 30-40% is getting covered already.
That's great.
That's a big deal.
How has it affected college basketball?
Basketball, that I'm not sure. I don't follow as much basketball.
I know the NBA's are already screwed up, and college basketball seems to be pretty watered down over the last few years.
Again, if between us on here, or if the people want,
I've been waiting for that demise for a while now.
Yeah, if people want to Google the lawsuits, the NIL lawsuits, so last year, 25, the beginning of the year, like January, February, there were some players that were suing the school, like they were suing Florida State because Florida State promised a player $1 million to play basketball there. And then they said, hey, we're going to give you $100,000 signing bonus. Got the $100,000. Now, just like the question about when the guys get paid, you're like, hey, I've been in school now for a month. Where's my money? Oh, yeah, we're going to get it to you by the time the season starts, which is typically in October for basketball. October comes. Hey, where's my money? Oh, no, we're going to get it to you. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. December comes. Hey, where's my money? Like, look, we're gonna get. So what was happening again? Because these were kids. Florida State people didn't want the player to go to Florida, and they say promise something, and then hey, don't go to Florida. Sign with us. And so now he missed out on that. So now the player is suing because he could have went to the school all along and got whatever dollars. You see what I'm saying? So that's talking about breaches of contract on both sides of things. Kids are suing brands are suing the kids.
Well, for basketball, I think, this is just my opinion, I think you're going to see that the end of the one and done. Because if I can make money playing basketball, why take that chance to play 1 year in college and get cut?
Yeah.
Where I can play a couple years in college and get paid.
Yeah,
a lot of them are going over to Europe and playing too.
I was just ready to say, bro. Just ready to say, like, I don't know much about basketball, but I know the problem is that now we got a whole NBA program that is for college going overseas, and it's good.
Yeah, a lot of them are going over
because overseas, like even when Victor came over here, Victor Wembanyama, that went to the San Antonio Spurs. He's been a pro athlete since 14 years old.
I know.
Like
so was Luka Doncic, man. He's been
overseas, their rules are way different, and it's like
they're over 10 years in their career already.
Yeah.
And now the NCAA just let a kid come back who was, I think, for Baylor, who was drafted in the NBA draft.
Oh yeah.
Put a year or two in the G League.
Yeah.
And go back to college, and they made him eligible. It's
the
mind-blowing.
Pandemic, and that again, you're talking about these pandemic rules. You know what I mean? Like Michael Jordan rules. These are the made up pandemic rules that are just they're like Stephen A. Smith, fluid. These are fluid rules. These rules, they're not. They're like Pirates of the Caribbean when Jack Sparrow said, they're more like guidelines. These aren't really.
What happened? They didn't consider the G League a pro league, and they let him back.
Yeah, they let him come back. They gave him permission to go back to college, right? Because typically you would lose your eligibility, but they said, you know what? We know you've been duped. You didn't really play in the NBA. It was an NBA G League, which is a separate organization. So go ahead, go back to school. Like what?
Wow. What even separates the amateurs from the pros was money before.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
that's what separated it to, and now it's like
that's what the situation
that was the difference.
Is that
now it's the amount of money.
Yeah. Somebody was drafted last year. It was about the challenge. I forgot who it was, but he was drafted, and I think he was going to Cincinnati, Ohio, the Bengals, and he didn't want to play with the Bengals, and they were like messing with his contract. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna just go back to school then, because y'all playing with my money. Like, I ain't got to do this. I'll just sit out. Now, he could have sat out the year and then went to any other team, but they were like, you know what, we'll figure it out. But they figured it out.
Yep.
But anyway, I like
that's awesome. We can talk about this all night.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Would you come back on? Would you come back on the show?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, absolutely.
We'd love to have you.
I'm not paying his fee next time, though.
It'll be a little while, but we'll talk about that later on.
No,
amateur boxers still don't get paid. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Don't kid yourself.
All right. Well, listen, Maine, we'd like to thank you for coming on our show tonight. We had a great time. A lot of great information.
Maine, thank you
for our show.
Yeah,
we're going to send this out.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have it. So, thank you again. And guys, don't forget, contact Frank McCartney of Nation One Mortgage today at 856-495-5150 if you're looking for a great mortgage. And Maine, check him out. Do you have a podcast show or anything like this you want to promote?
No. I do not. I do not have a podcast show as of yet. Nope.
Okay. I was going to say, yeah, it'd be very interesting.
Our social media, this Prince Management Group. We have our Instagram, and I think the Facebook is the same, and the Twitter is all Prince MGMT Group. Is our handles on social media. That's all we got.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, guys, let's have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. Have a good